everybody. This is... Oh, I was about to say this is Traffic Musings, and you're watching Sarahscopic. Rewind! Hello, everybody. This is Sarahscopic, and you're watching Traffic Musings, where the traffic is still as terrible as always. Yay, stop and go. Yay, stop and go. No, stop and go. Stop and go. I figured I would dedicate this episode to just kind of starting the huge overflow of my stories when it comes to tabletop. Insert some applause here, Editor Chan, if you'd please. And let's try that again. Tabletop! Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I wish you could add fireworks, but no. I guess I'm just gonna start, because I could do a whole episode on this, how I got into tabletop. It's a short enough story, and a long enough story, for a full episode, I would say. So basically what happened was, I was 10 years old, I believe, at the time, 9 or 10. And my brother Robbie, who was about 13, I think, at the time, we have a cabin up north in the Upper Peninsula that my family and I go to every year. And this year, for some reason, it was only Robbie, my mom, and my cousin. I'm not sure where my dad was, but he wasn't there. So my cousin was up there with us, which was not super normal. It's sweet. He hasn't really been up there in a while, but so sometimes it happens, sometimes not. And he's an older cousin. He's older than both of us. We were up north, and there's a tiny little bookstore near the city town more like, where our cabin is. And we go to this bookstore every year. And my brother we were perusing the bookstore, and he saw this box that said Dungeons and Dragons on it, 3rd edition. And he had heard of it, of course, most people had. And my cousin had also known of it. I think he may have even played it before, where I'm not really sure that part of the story. So my brother wanted to buy it. It was a starter kit. So it had like a map, a couple of pre-made character sheets, and like 4 or 5 pre-made adventures or something like that. You know, he asked my mom, hey, can we try this out? My mom's like, sure. My mom, the conservative Christian lady, says, yeah, we'll try to play Dungeons and Dragons. Sounds great. So we take it back to the cabin, and my brother's trying to, and of course I have no idea what this is. What is this? It's Dungeons and Dragons. What's that? And so we start taking it apart, and my brother's kind of explaining it, and we kind of grew up with fantasy. I kind of grew up reading Harry Potter, even though I never finished it. Please don't burn me at the stake. So my brother kind of explained, there's characters, there's stats, you gotta roll them, all this kind of stuff. Okay, cool, sounds good. What do you want to play, Sarah? I have no idea. I'm 10 years old. Wizard sounds cool. I like elves. She looks pretty. I'll be this elf lady. Okay. So I played the elf lady. I had fun. My mom played the cleric, of course, conservative Christian lady. And my cousin, because we needed 4 players, he did 2, because he had done it before. So he was the rogue and the fighter. So we played, and it was fun, except I loved the fact that I could cast spells, but I hated the fact that I still remember this, only had 7 HP. I thought that was a bunch of barlarky, and didn't like that at all. And, but I liked the casting of spells. It just, I was very nervous about my character dying. That was the main thing, and I kind of had this issue for a while when I was younger. I mean, I played when I was like 10, and so I didn't like the idea of my character dying basically based on a die roll. I thought that was kind of, that was scary. So we played the adventure, and it was tons of fun. And so, but my brother really still liked it, so he kind of looked more into it. The next year, or maybe the next time, I kind of distinctly remember being 11 when I started playing D&D for real, but I could be wrong. But around that age, 10 or 11, we were up north once again. It was just my mom and my brother and I. My father may have been there at this point, but my cousin wasn't there. And my brother, Robbie, decided that he really wanted to pursue this. He had a lot of fun being the GM, the game master, and my mom had lots of fun too. She was role playing, and I had fun too. It was fun to kind of do that, even if I didn't like the fact of dying. And so my brother bought the books, and if you know anything about D&D books, they're stupidly expensive. Gorgeous, but stupidly expensive. So he bought, the 3 books you needed: the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. Pretty sure he found them all up north as well. it kind of turns out that in the town where our cabin is, there must be some huge gaming group, because they restock with the latest editions of a bunch of different tabletop systems. Well, that's another story. He wanted to design characters. He wanted to make a real adventure. And I remember there was a huge lightning storm that night, that day, actually, and you could see like the lightning like strike the lake. I don't know if that was God telling us this was a bad idea or a fantastic idea, but whatever, we kept with it. So we were trying to decide characters, but because only my mom and I were for sure players, we had to do 2 each, because my brother was a new GM, and so for him it was like, well, you need a party of 4. It's really hard to balance it with a party of less, and you can, but he was a new GM, and most of the books kind of were wrapped around the idea of a party of 4, so that's what we did. So we each picked 2 characters. I, of course, said, I still want to be the elven wizard. I thought that was super cool, and they were like, okay, what's another class? Well, for some reason, I really liked the rogue class that my cousin played. I remember distinctly that I kind of had wished I had picked the rogue when we first were starting. I didn't understand what a rogue was, but I really liked the fact that it was small, because he played a halfling rogue. I really liked the fact that he played a small character who could sneak attack and do crazy amounts of damage and go hide again. If you're not seeing a trend, then you're blind. But yeah, and so I did want to be a rogue, so I picked halfling rogue because, that sounds cool. So we had to create our characters, and that's when the creation of my first 2 beloved characters, Cleste Silvertree, my elven wizard, and Coralina, nicknamed Dina Cleavely, my halfling rogue. And do I did love them dearly both. It's funny because my wizard was... because you pick alignments. If you don't know D&D, you know the alignments. And if you don't, just look them up. You'll recognize them. My wizard was neutral, which is funny because most people are not neutral, especially not, usually druids are neutral maybe, but not wizards. But I picked neutral, and my brother kept challenging me. I was like, are you sure, she's truly neutral? And I was like, yeah, totally. Mostly I picked neutral because I picked that she worshipped Bacab, who, for those who don't know your D&D mythology, is basically the god of knowledge. He is neutral because he just is a pursuer for knowledge, and that's kind of how I said my character was. And I didn't really play her as neutral. I played her more neutral good, but I wanted to be neutral. My rogue was chaotic neutral, which is very strange, but I think partially it was just because I thought chaotic good was how did I thought no, it was overused? I don't know. For some reason, I thought she was chaotic neutral, so I said chaotic neutral. My wizard was the very calm and present intellectual, worries about, very, very concerned about knowledge and pursuit of it and magic and such like that. And my rogue was the partier, the drinker, likes meat pies and ale. I was a 12-year-old that said my character drank, and it was fine, that kind of stuff. In case you're wondering about my mother, she did play a cleric, and she also had a paladin. Because if there's one thing my mom won't give up when she plays fantasy games, it's her, her Christian beliefs, which I respect very highly, because I do too. It's just, so that's how she rectified it, I guess. It's pretty great though. She had a paladin, who was basically, served as the fighter character, which was fine because paladins are pretty awesome. So we had double the healing, to be honest, and double the manpower. So she had the cleric and the paladin. I had the rogue and the wizard. So she was always out in front. I was sneaking behind and casting magic missile at the darkness. If you don't get that joke, you need to look that up right now. We had a blast. One of my brother's best friends kind of joined a little later. He couldn't always come over to play, but he also had 2 characters. He had a dwarven barbarian, I think, and a elven. Was he half elf or elven? I can't remember, but he was some kind of elven ranger, and so he would kind of join our adventures every once in a while. For a while, it was just my mom and I with my brother as the GM, and it was pretty awesome and pretty fun. My brother gave us way too many high-powered magic items for our level because he wanted us to start fighting dragons, even though we were starting at level 1. But hey, whatever floats your boat. I got to be awesome, and that's all that matters. D&D's always been, tabletop in general has always been pretty important to me. It's kind of where, I kind of get a lot of my just kind of how my thought process as far as creativity works. So anyway, I'm once again running slightly over time, so I'm just gonna have to end it there. But that's how my saga into tabletop began, and from then it just went downhill. This is my last episode of this sequence, so but yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope something amazing happens to you, and without further ado, I hope to see you all in the next episode.